All right, so let's touch on a couple of TV shows for a bit, right? So, Ricardo, you took in season one of Inside Job. This is a
Sure.
new Netflix animated series,
Mm.
one that caught my eye because it was well, the trailer for it was launched during the recent Tadum event, right? Online event, right?
Yeah.
And just right off the bat, I love the premise of it,
Yeah.
which you'll get into. But because of the other show that we're going to talk about, I did not get the time to watch this season out. So, Ricardo, take it away. What was it about, and how did it play out?
Sure. So this show is called Inside Job. It's about a character called Reagan Ridley. She is the daughter of a guy called Rand Ridley, and he is the head of, well, the former kind of leader of this basically this a secret, clandestine organization that basically runs all secret clandestine shenanigans in the world. So basically, they just put all like conspiracy theory stuff all in one place with this all of this conspiracy theory stuff all in one place, and they secretly run in the world. That's the running joke, and that's the premise. The central conceit is any conspiracy theory, any idea, anything that you're into, you will you'll be I'll be a part of. You'll be it's they're the cause of it. All the conspiracy theories that you're familiar with, and it caters to a lot of conspiracy theory aesthetic. It does that, and that's pretty much the central conceit. Yeah, that's it. But what it
All right.
does,
Well. Is there any like conflict at all with like the main character, like
well,
what she has to do with?
that comes later. So the main character
Okay.
is strongly implied that she does have a bunch of emotional problems, very emotionally stunted. A lot of evidence that she might be on the autism spectrum. She
Oh, I
just
see.
yeah,
I see.
yeah, they didn't get into that specifically, but it's more to do with her emotional, life growing up, um, her career growing up. And I really enjoyed it for what it is. So one of the big factors that caught my eye when you pointed out to me is, well, the creator herself, right? Oh gosh, slipping her name's slipping my mind right now.
Um. r-
Takeuchi, I think.
Yeah.
Takeuchi.
Shion or Shion.
Yeah, Shion Takeuchi.
Takeuchi.
Yeah, Takeuchi. Right.
Yeah.
So
Takeuchi. Takeuchi.
right.
Right.
So
If you
she
got it
she
wrong,
she is a
apologies.
yeah, yeah. So she is a alumni of Gravity Falls. So
Oh,
this
okay, okay.
is
Which I
yeah.
still haven't jumped on board. I know I suck, right? But yeah.
Right. So she's an alumni of Gravity Falls, and that show is like a big show for a lot of people. It's a great show in my opinion, and it's basically an adult version of it's an adult version of Gravity Falls in a sense. That's what this show is. So how to explain the show off the top? It's a nice hodgepodge of American Dad, because American Dad, remember, had a lot of like CIA conspiracy theory jokes in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugly Americans, if you remember that show. Um, that was about like I forget exactly what happened, but we like magic and a lot of like connections to hell happened, but it became a banal corporatocracy. And Futurama, which is the world is weird and then banal weirdness, and it does that conceit reasonably well. The banality of the weird, right? What you consider this big conspiracy, and every conspiracy that you reference, it they treat it as daily life, right? And it's just them having to solve problems in the world. And it just covers all the great jokes about um conspiracy stuff, right? All the classics, right? All the conspiracy theory and political counter narrative, history and aesthetic, right? So like the second episode is an episode called Clone Gunman, which is great, right? We know what that means, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Hmm.
then it's all about JFK and all of that stuff, right? They have moon landing episodes. They make a joke about 9/11. They make a bunch of jokes, and it okay. So the weakness of the show, I'll say, is that uh it has that inside baseball problem that Star Trek The Lower Decks has, where you kind of have to know all of this like history stuff to get the
Oh,
jokes.
okay. I had a mind, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like they have like a quick joke of the guy. She had a spray. They have a spray like a spray canister, but the canister is jet fuel inside this canister. I said we know jet fuel doesn't melt anything, right? If you get that, that's a conspiracy theory reference. It's referencing 9/11, right? And so on and so forth. All the conspiracy theories are in and around that stuff. It is an interesting show in the sense that it could be like, here's what the show does that is kind of interesting. Like, and Futurama did this, which is they have real names Like they just straight up put people's real names in it. So like Anderson Cooper is a lizard person, and Oprah's running her own version of the Inside Job place. Like the I forget
Huh.
the name of the company is called Cognito Inc. That is the name of the company.
Okay, okay,
Cognito
I
Inc.
got it. Yeah, yeah.
Which is a play on right, incognito, right? That's a joke. Yeah, so they have like they'll just outright mention celebrities and this kind of stuff. So what I can imagine some people like the blowback against this show could be something like, well, it's celebrity apology, like it's not like again the whole point about celebrities is the nature of conspiracy theories is the kind of the political machinations and intention behind a conspiracy theory. Like many people who push conspiracy theories don't really believe conspiracy theories, and so on and so forth. And they cater to that aesthetic approach to what you should do with it. So I can imagine a lot of people don't like it for that. But it's still like a legitimately funny show and it's well done. Yeah, it has a little bit. To describe it off the top of my head, it's like it's basically kind of like adult version of um Gravity Falls, right? Mixed with Rick and Morty, right? It's kind of like what solar opposites is a little bit, right? Kind of
Hmm.
have that same feel to everything in terms of the jokes and the humor. The
Right.
main character, Reagan, is great. She's a great character. I actually really like the central character. She's legitimately funny and well done. She plays against her dad very well, who's voiced by Christian Slater, and he basically plays a parody of himself from Mr. Robot, which I like because a lot of this is like it's almost like always plays on that idea of how Mr. Robot is like the conspiracy theory stuff and the aesthetics.
Yeah.
They play on that
Yeah.
as well. They have a lot of great episodes. They have a whole episode about the moon, which is great. That was probably my favorite episode. But it's good enough. Like it's the main conceit is good. It's a little too derivative. That's all I'll say. I've heard all of these jokes somewhere else, right? American Dad did all these jokes. Ugly Americans did all these jokes. Futurama did these jokes. Like all these jokes came from somewhere else. And this does it in its own way, but they did it then. That was what when Futurama ended, like 10 years ago, whenever. And
Yeah,
well,
about.
no, 2014. Sorry, when Futurama, but Futurama keep going and coming back. But you get my
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And when these jokes were great then, I suppose it's one of these shows that came later, but it's still well done, and mostly because the main character and what happens to her and her arc, the final two episodes kind of explain away what she's about, and it's a really good like reveal about what was going on. Um, but it works. It's reasonably funny and well done, and I actually enjoyed it. I binged it in one sitting. That is like a good sign. Like it kept my attention, and why it works so well is because it packs jokes now. It does again the lower decks thing, right? It'll have like this image in the background, or it'll make this reference to this old like outdated scientific idea. Like one of the characters is a mushroom. That's really funny because they have a picture with him with some cavemen, and there's a whole mushroom in the psychedelic community because there's another character who's a chemist and he's make chemistry stuff. And then they'll make like a lot of political jokes about conspiracy theories itself. Like the reason why you believe this bullshit is because of this political thing. And they'll just kind of do the banality stuff like what Futurama does for science, right? And they make it work in that sense, right? Yeah, like in the case of the mushroom thing, if you know something called uh the stoned ape theory, it's basically that. Like they make a bunch of fun of Joe Rogan, for example. How Joe Rogan is kind of an idiot, and here's why, and so on and so forth. It's very liberal politics, and we know the show. Alex Hirsch does a couple voices from Gravity Falls, and they
Okay,
basically
okay.
they basically play with that. It's a kind of hope punkish approach to conspiracy theories and how to think about it and where real problems come from and why, and the real drama and involvement and so on and so forth. Yeah, it has that aspect to it, right? It's Men in Black meets Gravity Falls meets Rick and Morty, right? It's that, right? They do the Men in Black thing, and that's you need shows like this ever so often to kind of stick it to a lot of like moral panicky cultures, right? Ghostbusters did that for the Satanic Panic in the 80s. Men in Black did it for UFO conspiracy theory nonsense in the 90s, and
Hmm.
then you could say this show doing it now for the conspiracy theory leading culture that has tend to build up over time, ever so often. And this was perfect for that. It just made all fun of all the conspiracy theory stuff. And what I would like the show to do is if it get a little more serious, hopefully, I think it already get green light for season 2. It's doing very well from what I understand. I think it's number 5 on Netflix or something like that. Um, if they could get into like the real aspects of why people believe in conspiracy theories and how and real conspiracy theories, like you could play with that, right? If you ever read a book called Medical Apartheid, for example, right, there's a whole history of why it is that black people seem to be so paranoid about medicine, right, and so on and so forth. Um, Great show. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Nice, nice,
it, it
nice.
it flows very well. It's legitimately funny and charming, and the characters are good. Like all the characters are good. Like it have no weak character that I say this character too annoying or waste of time. They serve a purpose. They make sense why they're there, and they have a lot of good lines. I think Tisha Campbell is a character in this. If it's
Oh,
looking,
word? Okay.
yeah, she plays the social media manipulating person. Like that's her job. And she want to work. She used to work for the Kardashians, and that's a whole joke. Like it's a
Okay.
great like Kardashian jokes with that.
Mm.
Yeah. Solid stuff. Solid stuff. It's a good outing by Takeuchi. I really want I really want to see more of this. And I take I back in it so much because it's reminiscent. It's more the more adult version of like the Owl House now. Like you want to see gas shot, it doing something new and interesting. Let's give it a chance. Yeah,
Okay, nice,
yeah,
nice,
that's it.
nice. I will definitely be checking that one out again
Yeah,
because I recommended it to you, right?
right. Yeah,
Um, but as I said before, the reason why I couldn't catch up on it is because I was busy playing catch up with season 3 of Titans, right? We covered the first 3 episodes before, so if anything, I will just kind of do a summary of what this whole season is about, right? Of course, this is the third season to the surprisingly very popular I would say, well, because remember it used to be off of the short-lived DC streaming platform. Now it's on HBO Max, right? So yeah, and basically it's this very R-rated, not so much hard R, but R-rated, basically edgy version of the DC universe, right? So you're just seeing characters like Nightwing and Beast Boy and stuff like that, right? But they're in a fairly dark world compared to the fairly TV 14 and PG stuff that you would see on CW, right? Like stuff with Arrow and stuff like that, right? Um, actually see some kind of weird here, like looking at this season in particular. It just kind of had me thinking if Arrow had started, if Arrow went with this approach, then you know what I mean, as I understand the CW, they have to do things by their rules, right? But just imagine how different of a show, I should say, Arrow would have
right,
been if they went the Titans route, right?
right,
But
right.
anyway, what this is about in a nutshell, so it pretty much centers, of course, on Dick Grayson, what I mean, once again, who plays Nightwing, and he realizes now that his the new Jason, so to speak, Jason who sorry, the new Robin, sorry,
Yeah.
Jason who left in the last season, he got brutally killed by the Joker, right? And then we learn later on that he becomes this I want to call him an anti-hero, but just basically
Yeah,
this masked
it's
Avenger.
Red Hood. Yeah, it's Red Hood. It's
Yeah,
Red
call
Hood's
call
story.
the Red Hood, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
as I say, I was very confused by this because why does they didn't have this in the finale instead of premiere? However,
I know, man.
there's always do this for some reason. Like since season 1 to 2, like season 2 premiere is more like season 1 finale. However,
But that's
I don't
what it
know why.
was. Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know why this.
season two premiere was season 1 finale,
Yeah, it's a
But to
weird
my
call.
in my mind, I wondering like why they did that.
Why does do that? And they
I
do
don't
it
know.
again with this. Because I thought they would have end the season with him being murdered by Joker. Like end the season with that, not start the season with that.
Yeah,
However,
like it literally starts with that, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
however.
so we have this threat now of Red Hood now, and then well, I'm not sure if we brought this up before, but Jonathan Crane is involved, right?
Right,
I mean, who is played by Vincent Kartheiser, or if I got the name wrong, forgive me, right? I know he was on, in Mad Men.
right,
That's still on a to watch list, right? But at first, like when he comes into the show, you think, oh, he's just gonna be the Hannibal Lecter character. So
right,
basically, what happens is that Nightwing goes to him for advice, basically on how to, or at least to figure out who Red Hood is, right? And they have that sort of Clarice Hannibal kind of thing going on, right? But
right.
then, I mean, surprise, surprise, he eventually escapes, and you realize now that he's the ringleader of everything now. So he's more or less roping Red Hood into all these things. And the plan, which is ridiculously elaborate, but it kind of involves just destroying the name of the Titans altogether. And speaking of the Titans, because of what's going on with Dick in Gotham now, and of course him running into Barbara Gordon, right, who is the commissioner of the GCPD now. All the other Titans are there as well, right? So that includes Beast Boy, Superboy, who else? Hawk and Dove, right?
Right.
And we talked
Well,
about what happened with
with
Hawk.
Hawk, yeah, which was dumb.
Yeah, which
Sorry,
which was dumb. I
which
actually
was dumb.
rewatched those
However,
first three episodes. That third episode in particular, like when he, what happened to him. It's still dumb. I still don't understand how he was so gullible just for that to happen. But anyway, right? There's a subplot involving Starfire, right, played by
right,
Anna Diop.
right, right.
She runs.
I know. Blackfire came into this season, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Her younger sister is younger sister, right?
Blackfire is. Ooh, I
No,
can't remember the age.
older. She's the older, right? So,
Right. Yeah. Blackfire is older
right.
one.
So older sister Blackfire shows up as well too.
Yeah.
We learn a bit about their backstory, their time back, being as royalty on this planet though, and their skill sets, because there's
Right.
something going on involving their powers, and we learn near the end what really was going on there as well, right? And just last thing last though, a couple of old characters who we thought weren't returning make appearances as well, right? Case in point, Rachel Rutt, aka Raven, she shows
Right.
back up.
Right.
She has a subplot involved there too, and a couple other people which you probably might mention in when we dive into the review here, right? But yeah, Ricardo, you said you didn't see the last what 2 3 episodes?
Three or four, no, 4 episodes. It's a
Okay,
hot, it's a hot minute. I didn't see it, so I kind of just write off, and I didn't watch these stuff for a while, so I was like, all right, let me just write off the whole thing. I just remember the first couple episodes.
all right. Well, I just kind of took my time, just took like a few days, just kind of watch a few episodes day by day, basically, right? So I was able to catch up with everything, right? So yeah, I will make the conscious effort not to spoil what happens in the end, right? But I will just share my overall thoughts on the season here, and you could kind of share your thoughts on what you saw thus far, right? Um, this is undoubtedly a huge improvement over season 2 and 1, right?
Okay,
I
wow,
would say,
okay,
well, all right, let me rephrase that, right? I would say huge, but I would say a considerable. That's the
all right,
best word I should use, considerable, right?
nice, nice,
'Cause I felt like in 2, that was when the show was now started to figure itself out. 1 just felt a little too edgelord, in my opinion.
right,
It was
right,
just like, okay, well, we need to be dark and edgy and say fuck a lot because fuck Batman and all that kind of stuff. That like it felt like it was just trying to be edgy just because they're like, oh well, we have to prove that we're more than what people associate live action DC shows to be like. Case in point, the Flash and Arrow and stuff like that, right? So we gotta give you the darker version of it, right? But to the point, like I've just felt like it was trying to be too dark. It was just spending too much time trying to be dark there instead of just like telling a legit story, right? Compelling story, I would say. And I felt honestly there was a lot more time spent on Raven and all this dark stuff with her, right? But I felt like in the second season, that's where it started to figure out itself. The action, the characters, everything just started to flow a lot better, right? And here I would say this is where they really like found their pocket, their creative pocket, as far as telling the stories go. It's still the dark, edgy stuff that
yeah, yeah.
I know some people wouldn't like it because it's like, oh gosh, are they just
Well,
trying way too
I knew,
hard? It's
I
like,
knew,
what? Here, no. I think personally they figured out though. It's still a
right.
little clumsiness here or there, which I'll get
Well,
into, but it more or less figured out.
I knew that. Look, I knew once they're bringing in Red Hood, I knew they're gonna have some more edgy bullshit, right? And Jason Todd is one of the edgy edgelord characters, Mister Edgelord himself. So
Yeah, and
I know they're
especially the
coming with
actor who
that.
plays him, boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Boy, he real amps up on the edginess
Yeah, yeah.
to the point like dude, you just like need a hug or something like that. You're like, why you so angsty? And that's the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
especially Jason in particular in this season here, why angsty, boy. It's like, girl, you know what I mean? But it's to the point that it's kind of laughable at times, but you get right, you get who the character is and why he is who he is, right? But yeah, go on.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty much it. Yes, it's them having to square what they're gonna do with Jason Todd. Because I know the big sticking point in this one is, well, Batman give up now. Batman give
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot
Yeah,
to mention that too,
yeah.
because
Batman give up. Right.
well,
Yeah.
slight spoiler, he actually kills Joker, right?
Right. Right.
In as as a personal retaliation of what happened with with Jason, right? What all we thought happened to Jason, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the man pretty much like leaves Gotham though.
Right.
I'll talk about that in a bit too. And yeah, just well, the Batman is gone, so
Yeah.
yeah, no spoiler, chaos and hell. You know what I mean? As a character, or as I say, a character too says in the show here, seeing Gotham bullshit. That's what we get here, you know. But yeah, go on.
Right. No, no, yeah, yeah. I nothing else to say. Just good. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yes, as I say, it's a considerable improvement here, right? It's still engaging. I mean, you still like the characters, though. What I really dig about the show now is that it finally embraced the fact that we're not trying to be a uber realistic version. We're not trying to do the Christopher Nolan approach, right?
Right.
Um, it's the same characters that but it's just in this world, right? Like I don't know what is the mature line of DC Comics. Like Marvel has Max, but I don't know what the
Right.
one for DC or if they have any at all now. It feels
Not
like that. It feels
dark.
like what is it?
Like I don't know, just the DC dark line in the movies. That's it, right? Like
No,
this.
I'll talk about the comics. I'll talk about the
Oh, the
comics.
comics. Okay, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So it feels like that where it's the same characters that like case in point, like Superboy for example, like perfect example, Superboy and Crypto, right? It's Superboy, right? He's still rocking the black shirt, still doing the stuff that Superman does. Crypto is still doing what Crypto does to extent, right? But it's not like they will dumb them down or make them do more violent things because we're going R-rated, y'all. It's not like that, right? They pretty much do the same stuff that they normally do, right? It's just that the action now and the violence has been amped up to a certain degree, right? So it's like that, right?
Right.
And they do legit feel like comic book characters. And that's not a detriment to the show. That Disney show for that, right? They feel like real characters, but at the same time they feel like they're comic book characters. They feel like they have backstories and characteristics about them, right? So you can latch on to them and you could pretty much connect with them in some way, shape, or form, right? So that's what
Right.
I really dug about the show here. What was really interesting though was how they characterize Scarecrow, aka Jonathan Crane, right? Because
Right.
sadly enough, I know outside of the animated series and Cillian Murphy's performance in
Right.
Batman Begins, I
Yeah.
really know little to nothing about Crane's backstory, right? And here they
True.
give
Right. That's
you
true.
a
Because
lot of it,
did they
actually.
ever do it? Did they ever do that in Gotham? Because I never watched Gotham.
That's the thing. I have watched Gotham, but I forgot what,
All right. Okay.
what they did with him, Jen.
Okay. No problem.
From where I was watching, they were focusing a lot more on on Penguin
Right.
and Riddler. They were focusing a lot on those two,
Right.
but I
Right.
don't
Right.
remember anything with Crane, right?
But the thing with this show is that this show does is, as I say, I call it the Riverdale-ification of Batman, right?
Yes,
Right, and,
exactly.
and basically it's golden age stuff and then some silver age stuff being modified now or being edged up, right? That's what it feels like. So every time somebody say, all right, well, what's the origin of this? I'm gonna expect a golden age origin, but like they try to make a realistic version of a golden age origin. So I'm not sure what they're doing with this season. But you said it's better, so I don't know what that means in that sense because I'm looking at it in terms of what you're gonna do with the golden age material now. Like how
Oh,
you gonna
okay, okay.
how you gonna make
Yeah,
golden age material borrowed, quote unquote, and
right,
I
right.
say borrowed real quotes because
No,
it's
no,
like
I understand. I totally
right,
understand what you mean. But I
right,
mean better in terms of what it's trying to be, right?
right,
Because
right, right, right,
I always felt like the first season just had identity crisis. We want to do, yeah, as you say, golden age heroes, but at the same time we want to make it all dark and edgy, man, because that's what's in, man. You know what I mean? But here it feels like okay, they have a somewhat even balance now. So
right.
yeah, you're getting the same characters and characteristics that you know from the comic books, but in a real setting, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, a lot of time is spent on Jonathan Crane. I didn't think that he was going to be the main villain in all of this, though. And this is actually the first time I've ever seen Jonathan Crane take up like be the main villain in anything as far as Batman based TV shows at all, right?
right,
Um,
right,
and I would say though, like it was just stuff about him that they reveal here that's quite fascinating. They don't spend too much time delving into it, but if I have a gripe though, it'll be a major one for some people, right? Is that because he's crazy and he's from the loony bin, i.e. Arkham Asylum. they have to play the I'm a psycho, ooh, you know what I mean,
Right.
notes, right? They have to hit them.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
another
I
thing.
have a psychiatrist mom who doesn't
Right.
understand me, and I'm so crazy, and I just need to kill people. Like
That's another
he's
thing.
like that,
That's
but
another
he's
thing.
also very smart, and
Yes.
he needs to smoke weed in order to figure things out. No, sorry, he needs weed to kind of numb himself a bit. 'Cause he thinks too much. That's what he says in the second episode. But yeah, they do hit on the whole I'm a crazy man. I'm a psycho. They do hit those beats a lot when it comes to him. But because of how Vincent plays the character, though, it is quite compelling. I must say, he does
No.
kind of have his zeroing in on
Okay.
who
So
he is.
what I was worried about that when you tell me that Scarecrow gonna be was in this, I was like, wait, they're gonna just still play up on the whole mental health because I one big problem with Batman, right? Batman, like when it comes to like a whole bunch of things we could talk about how Batman is outdated on, eh? But
Yeah, but it's
Batman
always
is
about mental health, but
oh my god,
always.
it's so dated on that these promises of mental health now. Like, look, I love Batman the animated series, but holy shit, it is that's the one time it has looked really outdated, right? It feels very outdated. Um, with that now. So I really want to see if how you're gonna make it updated in that sense now. However, I don't let me watch it and finish it.
Yeah,
Right,
and another thing though, like I said, Jonathan Green has this elaborate plan though, and how to describe it, by it's both elaborate and episodic. What I mean is that it feels like the show will kind of give you the impression that it's all part of this big plan though, but like when you really think about it, it feels like, okay, this episode I'm gonna do this, and then okay, because that didn't work because the Titans one up me, I have to
right,
do
right,
this
right.
plan now. But they will real make it think that is some big plan that he had to take down Gotham, and really, but it just more feels like, okay, I have a plan, this plan is gonna work, okay, this is a plan E, but if the plan E don't work, I have a fallback plan basically, and it just feels like ridiculously elaborate though, to the point that sorry to say, but they even pull from Batman Begins in terms
Right,
of
right,
you
right.
know what Scarecrow's gas, and the weaponization of said gas now, if you
Right.
remember from Batman Begins, they do something similar to it though, but
Right, 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 right,
not
right.
exactly because
Well,
right.
actually, yeah, I actually don't mind what. Okay, so even though I don't like Batman Begins anywhere near as much as other people seem to, mostly because of that big dumb water bomb plot. Like,
Oh, okay.
we doing this big dumb water bomb plot.
Yeah,
But
but
the actual
what made it work though was having Rachel Ghoul's plan, which is,
right,
yeah,
right.
let Gotham burn now, and then we
Right,
come
right,
in and
right. But
just kind of clean everything
it
up.
was still a big dumb goofy water bomb plot, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
the thing with it is that I really like what it did with the scarecrow gas and that. Like there's the visualization of it, you know, when you're affected by it and how and what it make it look like. Like remember when the scarecrow got hit with it and he saw Batman? I was like, that look hard. That is
Yeah,
like
yeah. He
so
saw
good.
this kind of gargoylish version of
Yeah,
Batman. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember.
Stuff
Yeah.
like right, yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't do that here, though.
That's
It's
actually
just a matter of it will
right,
just make characters go crazy. Like that's
right.
what it is, right? And
But
it's one of those things that, oh, well, if you dive in deeper, is about his psychosis, but it's like, not
right,
really.
right, right. They should do that. That's a missed opportunity. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there's a few more things, right? As far as the other characters go, I was digging Starfire's story arc though. I love it was interesting how it starts off with like these random dreams, these visions, sorry, that she gets there. And eventually it ties into her sister, right? Who she runs into, right? But the reveal about the two of them I thought was quite fascinating as well. And it just opens up, just this, huge possibilities for the two. As far as Blackfire's arc and motivations go, I was digging it though. But then something happens near the end of the season, which I felt was like really dumb.
Right.
And but it was just kind of just there to be like, okay, Blackfire, you just rock back a little bit. You don't go in anywhere, right? Because we need you in season 4. That's basically how it felt like, because she could have like left basically, but no, we kind of have to find a way to keep her back, right? As far as Rachel, Raven, I didn't expect to see her back in it as well too. She actually relates to another character who I honestly thought wasn't coming back. Slight spoiler, that would be Donna Troy, right?
Right.
Who
Right.
was killed in the last season, right? And there's actually a cool episode involving Donna and and Hawk actually, right? Um, Involving where they are in the other side. That's all I'll say, right? But
Okay.
the issue with that though is that okay, so slight spoiler again, they bring in the Lazarus pit, right? And that pretty
Okay,
much
right.
explains
Okay,
certain
okay,
things,
okay.
right?
Okay,
Right.
no
But
problem.
because
Right.
you incorporate that now with another character now, you they kind of watch this like, okay, well, if this character dead now, how come they not in the same realm or whatnot as Donna
Whatever.
and Hawk
Whatever.
was?
It's
Kind of
DC.
weird,
It's
right?
DC. It's DC. DC will come up with some bullshit excuse. Whatever.
Exactly. But it is all about symbolism, and it's because of
Right.
this
Right.
character's
Right.
journey, and it's like, come on,
Exactly.
like
Right.
consistency, yo, come on,
But
right?
not again. It's not only DC, but it's DC Golden Age now. Because that's the thing. Every time I hear it might have something in this universe, and I was like, yeah, but this is Golden Age, so they're gonna go completely bananas with it. So I want to see what they're gonna do with it as they say that. Anyway, anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
continue.
All
Yeah.
right, so a couple more characters, right? Bruce Wayne, once again
Right.
played by Ian Glenn, right? Not
Right.
that much of him in the show though. But if I have another gripe though is that I felt like they were hinting at certain things about him in terms of where he will go. You know what I mean? Now that he's somewhat disillusioned and the fact that you know what I mean. Oh, you know what I mean. Look at what happened to Jason, and
Right. Right.
him holding bearing that weight now. And something does happen though, but I felt like the show itself didn't catch up on what happened to him though. You know what I mean? It just kind of skips it because we have to get back to the Jonathan Crane stuff, right?
Right.
And also before I forget though, we also introduced to well, the new Robin, or I should say the potential Robin, Tim Drake, right?
Right. Yeah, I saw
Uh,
this. Right. I saw he had a whole arc. They have him way different though. He's like his we see his parents and he have like a family restaurant, a lot of that.
and he's Blasian.
Right. Yeah, they
Yeah.
make a bunch of changes with him. But whatever, it's not they're not bad changes. All of them is
No, no,
fine.
no, no.
Because the
Yeah.
big change was him having a family. Like the Tim Drake I'm accustomed to is the one with just his dad and connected to Two Face. Um that's the one I know,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But that's the DCAU version. That's the only one I kind of familiar with. I just kind of catch all fan when it comes to him.
Right,
Um
right. Yeah.
yeah, anyway. But so
Yeah,
yeah,
but
go ahead.
this version they really went out of the way to try to make it feel like okay, in the world or the real world of Titans, how would someone become a Robin? How would someone
Right.
become
Okay.
a
Right.
superhero? That's what they're aiming at, right?
Right.
So there's a few things about him now, and then well, it is actually a reveal that I know for sure when you see it, you'll be like, but wait now, but if he was able to do all this all the time,
Right.
why could they do this?
Oh
Right?
God.
It's one of those things. It's one of those
All
things.
right,
But
yeah, right.
again, it's like, all right, just shut up. It's a superhero show. Shut
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
right?
No, as I say, I just get the show a real pass when I realized in season two that wait, this is Golden Age bullshit though. Is
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's
No,
what
but I know for sure when you see that reveal, you'll be like, but wait now, but
all
how?
right, see, all
But
right,
no,
well,
just how. It's just a bunch
all
of
right,
hows will come out of your mouth
right, no problem.
when that reveal happens, right? But it what how does this how to answer it is without spoiling it is to kind of justify why he is fit to play to be a Robin, right? That's all I'll say,
Right.
right? That's up here. And last thing, last before I get to final rating, though, I felt that with all this build up and all this great characterization and story arcs and then coming together, I felt that they unfortunately rushed that final episode by. So
Yeah, well,
like it was
as
going, it
usual.
was going, it was going, it was going, it was going, and then they just decided, you know what, let me just kind of just shorten this thing up, and then we just leave the rest of the episode for character interactions and farewells and shit like that. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, but you had so much room to give us more, Trini. This kind of rush things, right? Like why? You know what I mean? Which is really really unfortunate given what they were doing here. You know what I mean? So as a whole, I felt like here is where the formula really really started to work. A little inconsistent, ever so often as well, right? But here, I really felt like they just kind of figure out what they are, right? Of course, it is familiar with other Batman stories, so you'll see a bit of Death in the Family, you'll see a bit of
Right.
Under the Hood, you'll see bits of that, right? But
The cowl battle for the cowl. Yeah.
yeah, Battle for the Coal and all that kind of
Right.
stuff, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I was digging like again, acting is great across the board. Visuals look great as well. I would say like this Doom Patrol and Superman and Lois are like the best you're gonna get right now as far as DC TV at
Oh
the
yeah,
moment.
there's
Yeah.
nice waiters because well, so I haven't caught up with Supergirl yet. I had
Oh,
all right.
Supergirl or Stargirl?
No, Supergirl.
Okay. Yeah, Supergirl is wrapping up this year, so yeah,
Right,
I haven't even started to watch a single episode as yet, but I'm
right,
gonna
right.
we have to talk about it for
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah,
But I just think, how the CW stuff need to start a wrap up now. If you think about it, like we kind of
especially Flash by
well,
God.
nah, yeah, Flash too good. Flash is you had to carry Flash out to the back, you had to
Oh boy,
carry Flash out to the back.
you know.
But no, yeah, I think it's just a framework, and just where DC is right now, they can either start making some moves, right? We'll see. But yeah, all right. Well, good to hear that this season is actually better than expected. So I'll give it a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know for sure you might find a few things and make this will work, this will work,
Right,
this
right,
is too
right, right, right.
cliche. Yeah. They will hit on certain cliches, especially with Jonathan Creed's character. Again, the psycho who knows a lot, and he has these little plans and stuff. It's
Right,
almost
right,
like they
right.
try to work in, a bit of Joker and a bit of a Riddler into his character. You know what I mean? But again, because this is the first time I've ever seen Jonathan Crane take front and center as far as being a super villain or mean villain goes, I was just like, well, all right, well, I assume this is just how he really is. Okay, let's
Yeah.
roll with
Right.
it. All right, fine. Yeah. But again, performances are decent. Visual effects decent as well too. Music choices pretty decent as well too. Action on point as well. Just I felt like, just that finale just really rushed things to it
Right.
was just really rushed to, unfortunately, though. And just a couple of, character and narrative missteps ever so often, right? But rating wise, I'm gonna give this light four, man. Like 4 out of 5, man. I would say give it a look though. If you're just really not a fan of the show at all, then yeah, this is not gonna be for you. I understand. I totally understand. It's not gonna be for everyone. I don't think the show is designed to be for everyone anyway, right? Um, Especially those I could pick them out, right? Especially those who just kind of feel a kind of way when characters have to say fuck a lot. And I feel like, I don't know, like I always feel like ever so often this show just has to go
Yeah.
out of its way to have characters see that one curse word, like if it's
Yeah.
the only word it know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, like almost like teen angst in a sense that,
Yeah.
so it kind of
Yeah.
makes sense why you have Red Hood be here,
Riverdale.
yeah, Riverdale stuff there. It kind of makes sense having Red Hood be technically the secondary villain because, yeah, he embodies all that, but he's just angry, just like, what I mean? Like that. But, yeah, it kept me engaged though. Just some great character moments and action, stuff like that. We can take a season 4 for sure. So just curious to see, yeah, where the story goes, man. Here's hoping we just get probably a couple more seasons out of this. I don't want this show to overstay its welcome. I don't
Right.
think it should at all. But yeah, I'm glad that this little experiment of DC actually works, man. So yeah, let's see how far they go with it, man.